Okay guys, I'm going to tell you about me getting a bit more of a success in my late 20s and then into my 30s. So what happened was I'd started a ton of businesses all the way from my teens to my late 20s, and none of them worked. But none of them worked in the way that I wanted them to work. So somebody else might think, oh, this business was making 20 grand a year, he should have been happy with it. No, I was always looking for something that could make me a lot of money because I didn't want to waste my time on something that would only make a little bit of money. So getting successful towards your late 20s, 30s is achieved by failing loads before that. So don't let people put you off thinking, you know what, if you're going to try this, it's not going to work. Because when I got to my late 20s and that business that has now evolved into a mobile games company and me investing and all of that started off not so great, but then went really well. And why did it go well? All the things that I'd learned in all my failures, they started coming in handy, right? From my life, I'd learned that, even though I'm called Shahzad Mohammed, that Shaz went down well with people. And I'm going to tell you what happened in one of my businesses. So in one of my businesses, I would ask people and say stuff like, look, can you put this game up for me and I'll put one of your games up on my website? Or can I link to your website saying your website is great gaming website and you say the thing for me in return? What would happen is I'd send that email out and it'd say, thank you, Shahzad Mohammed, or the email would be from Shahzad Mohammed. And you know what? The reply rate would be ridiculously low or non-existent, right? It's because on those ends, it was white males and they were like, oh, Shahzad Mohammed, I'm not saying they're racist, but whatever you want to think of it, they wouldn't reply. I changed that to an English name. And you know what? The reply rate went to 50%. And then I thought, because I'd been learning about these things all my life, I'd known how people had treated me. And I knew how they treated other lads if they were brown but had an English name. So then I, for a little while, until I hired a lady to start doing stuff for me, started using a girl's name to send out emails. And guess what? The reply rate was 99%. So that's why when you're on these social networks or people who might have LinkedIn, you see a lot of business development ladies, right? And they've got all this makeup on and they look really wonderful. Sometimes you've got to think who's on the other end of that, because they know most likely males will open an email from a female and you won't have that defensive mechanism kick in, right? So that's a lesson that I learned, which helped me really turbocharge in my late 20s. Did I have doubts while I was in my 20s or late teens or early 20s? Yeah, guys, I had loads of doubts. Whenever you're doing something, they say, oh, entrepreneurs believe in what they do and stuff like that. I used to think, yes, it'll work, right? But I wasn't delusional. I wasn't like, this is 100% going to work. I would think, I'm going to make it work. And what I'm going to do is, if this doesn't work, I'm going to do this to it and make it work. And if it doesn't work like this, I'm going to do this and do this and do this. So basically, I was always thinking, I'm going to keep on changing that thing until it does work. But I was always afraid it might not work. And I had to be ready for that, and I might be losing money, and I might lose all the money that I've ever made, because when I started my business, I started it with the money that I had made in the last 10 years. Yeah, so my current business that did really well, I started when I was 27. So if you imagine from about 16, 17, I'd been saving up money, and if I'd lost all of that while running my business that really took off at 27, I could have lost the last 10 years of my life. And that was scary. And when I started that business at 27, I worked for 9 months for about $900 and something, or maybe a year for about $900 and something. And when I worked that out, I had been working for 23 cents an hour, but I had earned money before that I had saved away, and I was paying my bills with that. And my mum used to live with me at that time as well, right? So I was paying my mum's bills as well. But I wasn't going to let it fail, because if something didn't work, like I explained earlier, I'd just switch up and think, will it work now? Will it work now? How do I find a solution? And that's what you keep on doing. Before that, I had lots of failures, and I admit to them, and they were all good for me. They led me up to that point, and they made me the person that I am. Even now, I've got lots of failed businesses, right? But I've got a few that went, they made up for all the failures. Thanks for watching. You need to subscribe, or you at least need to like, because I'm giving you loads of free content here. See you next time.